We reached the final day of the Democratic National Convention, which has been going on all week long in Philadelphia. Tonight, Democrat presidential nominee Hillary Clinton will give her address. It's the keynote of the entire week. Here to give us a preview of what we can expect tonight and to look back at the speeches we've heard so far this week, including last night, is our man in Washington, Chris Castile, who's actually in Philadelphia today for the Democratic National Convention. Chris, has it cooled off any there?
Yeah, it seems to have a little bit. It's actually overcast today, so that's keeping the heat down a little bit, but it has been a scorcher all week.
It's in the mid-90s there, just as it is here, which doesn't take long to break into a sweat when you're outside. It looks like you have a pagoda behind you almost, but
I'm still at the hotel getting ready to board a bus for the convention. Yeah, it's under their back patio here at the Courtyard Marriott in Valley Forge, Collegeville, Pennsylvania. We're about 30 miles away, so it's a long bus ride at night. After a long day at the hall last night, the president was at the arena, and I think his motorcade was moving as we were getting ready to leave, so we kind of stalled out in the Wells Fargo Center parking lot for about a half hour last night. Got home about 1 a.m.
There was a lot of keynote addresses last night, a lot of A-list speakers, and it went long last night. We heard from Michael Bloomberg, we heard from Joe Biden and Tim Kaine. Of those three, your thoughts, sir?
Well, I thought they were all effective at what they were sent out to do. I thought Joe Biden's speech, really got the crowd going, as did President Obama's. Tim, everybody kind of had the same message, which has been the message all week. Donald Trump, the GOP presidential nominee, isn't fit to be president. Hillary's got all this experience. Hillary Clinton has all this experience. She's ready to step right in and become the next president. I mean, that was clearly President Obama's message last night. Ready to pass the baton to somebody who's been in the room, so to speak. She's been Secretary of State. She knows foreign policy. She knows the problems of the middle class, and his message to the Democratic delegates: carry her just like you carried me. Biden's speech was really, I think, for a lot of people, kind of the high point of the night. More of the lunch bucket. Joe Biden, that we've all come to know in his long time in Washington. Talking about the malarkey quote from the Republican side, from Donald Trump's side, and he really was well received last night. And Bloomberg's speech had some good lines in it as well. He's an independent who even thought about making a third party run himself or recruiting someone to do so, but came out really strong. Said, I'm from New York. I know a con job when I see one, and made the same message for the nation and the delegates in the hall last night. Trump's not qualified to be president, and Hillary is.
It's interesting hearing from Bloomberg last night, throwing some billionaire shade around, interesting stuff. But President Barack Obama, he seemed to be in his element last night.
He certainly was. That was kind of his farewell speech to the Democratic delegates. His first appearance, I think they showed clips of it last night, from 2004 in Boston, to his first nomination in 2008, to renomination in 2012, and last night passing the baton. But yeah, it was everything I think the Democratic delegates wanted to hear from the president last night. I've heard a lot of kind of gushing about the speech today, and it was a kind of vintage Obama speech. And I had read somewhere that he, after Michelle's speech Monday night, the First Lady's speech, he stayed up till 3 in the morning working on his. But I don't think that you accomplish what the First Lady did with more verbiage or more flowery language. I mean, she nailed it in fairly short amount of time in that speech, and that seems to be something that's kind of a lost art, if it ever was an art, I guess, in politics, and that's the short, powerful speech. Now they're all quite verbose.
We did drift past about 10:30 Oklahoma time last night as the night went long, which takes us to tonight, Thursday night, the closing night in Philadelphia at the Democratic National Convention. We're chatting via Skype with Chris Castile, a reporter there. And what can we expect to hear from Hillary Clinton tonight?
I think she's going to just reinforce the message of this past week. I, I, I'm ready to do this. I'm qualified to do this. I've been around this world. I've been around this country numerous times. I know what's needed, internationally and domestically, and you can't trust the other guy. You know, she has got this huge trust deficit. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows Hillary. It's not like she has to in any way introduce herself, and it's not a smart thing to try to, reshape your image in a single speech. So I don't know, if she's going to directly address the trust issue. My guess is she won't use that word, but she's got to kind of set up, I think, for those people who are still wavering, that she can be trusted to take over the most powerful office in the world. And I just don't know how you do that in a single speech. I mean, especially if you're just going to run through the qualification, or run through the experience, run through the resume everybody already knows. So we'll see. We'll see. How much she can do. With 30, 45 minutes of a convention speech.
So, Chris, the Republicans last week in Cleveland, the Democrats this week in Philadelphia. We saw where the Republicans or Donald Trump saw a bump after his convention. You would assume the Democrats will see a little bit of a bump or a big bump, who knows, after this convention. What's next? We're still dealing with two candidates, Trump and Clinton, that really have some low favorability.
And that's not going to change. I really don't think that will change. I think whatever bump candidates traditionally get from their conventions evaporates, within weeks, and you go into the fall campaign after Labor Day, really, at what it's going to be probably for the next couple months, and it really is just going to come down to those independents and undecideds. They're making a bid here. It was pretty obvious in the president's speech last night, and with Michael Bloomberg, making a strong bid for both Republicans and independents now. How much that worth? We know that there are a lot of Republicans who are hesitant to vote for Donald Trump. There are also a lot of Democrats who are hesitant to vote for Hillary Clinton. But who they're fighting for now are those people who haven't made up their mind, whatever share of the electorate that might be. Keep them from going to the Libertarian Party or the Green Party. And that's that. Nothing's going to change tonight. I mean, that's because of one speech. As I say, you go into September after Labor Day when the general election campaign really gears up, and it's going to be a hard-fought battle in swing states.
I'm sure in the next couple of weeks we'll see candidates on buses, as they always do.
And surrogates. I mean, I don't know how many of the people that we've heard, in the past week. I think the president will be out there, Biden will be out there. I don't know what the first lady's role will be, but you're right. The candidates and the surrogates will be all over the swing states for 2 months.
And you, sir, you're headed back to Washington, correct?
Heading back to Washington tomorrow.
Very good. We have appreciated your time and your coverage all week long. He'll be tweeting tonight during the speech of Hillary Clinton. You can follow Chris Castile on Twitter at NewsOKPolitics, his coverage online at newsok.com, and stories in the Oklahoman. Chris, safe travels. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Dave.